This Monday was the worst driving standards I have ever experienced in full A+ lobbies. I get that this kind of stuff is commonplace in lower ranks, but this is top split. Every single one of these drivers you're seeing featured here is an A+ driver. I should be able to expect a better standard at this level. And very often I do, you see that in my videos. But something about this combination, Dragon Trail Gardens, Group 4, Custom Slip, it's the worst I've ever seen it. It's worse than Daytona, it's worse than Laguna Seca, and for the second week in a row I feel I have no choice but to feature just how bad it was. A lot of these guys you see actually did say sorry at the end of the race, but they didn't wait up. That to me is meaningless. There is no point in saying sorry if you aren't willing to actually return the position and make good on your mistake. Because no one else is going to police you. The only person who can police the driving standards is yourself. Sorry is a get out of jail free card. The only thing that's going to stop you doing it again is you. No amount of revenge punting ever stops someone from driving this way. I get that mistakes happen. Most of what you're looking at here was not deliberate. It's bad driving as opposed to dirty driving. But people still don't care to return the position. Everyone gets angry when it's done to them. No one seems to care when they do it to someone else. 4 races into my day and I was ready to quit. Normally I would have just walked away for the day and gone and done something else. I've always said you can avoid a lot of stuff, but there are those days when you just cannot avoid it. But I can't. I'm a content creator. I have to find content to make videos out of. So I kept going. And I just could not believe how much it kept happening. Take this incident for example. Jack's a fast driver. We've raced each other numerous times. He's every bit my equal as far as I can tell. But he sent it from last week and made a genuine honest mistake. But he doesn't wait up. You can pull over right now and wait, but he doesn't. If the roles were reversed, if I had done that to Jack, what would he be thinking, saying or doing? Would he be as calm about it as I was? By the end of the afternoon, my patience had been worn thin. I'd been tested to my absolute limit. So when Marcos hit me here into this braking zone, there is an unwritten code of conduct in Top Split that if you hit someone into a braking zone, you don't go for a move for the next few corners. Because the fact that you hit them into that braking zone is what compromises their corner, which in turn sets you up to be able to take advantage of that and go for the move. So I wasn't exactly happy that he went for the move, but I let it happen. I didn't exactly intend to go for this move. He just missed the apex. Now if there's contact there, it's netcode contact. But look at the difference in the overreactions. I don't overreact to the point of pushing him off track because of what he did here, despite him taking advantage of that hit by going for a move into the next braking zone. Simply put, he wouldn't be close enough to go for this move into this corner if he hadn't have hit me in the previous one. So when we head into the next corner, yes, there's contact. Again, it's netcode contact. But regardless of if it was just a misjudgment, you can't take someone out for nudging you wide when you just did the exact same thing to them. And as I said, I'm completely alongside here. I'm actually in front. So the situations are very similar, but he just takes me out. I could have taken him out, but I didn't. Again, people make a mistake which results in contact, and then they are willing to take advantage of that contact and take your position. But if the situation is reversed and you make a mistake, they take you out for it. Igor here wanted to get past. There wasn't a gap, so he made a gap. And that's me overreacting. At that point, I was beginning to lose it. I recognised ultimately that I did need to stop before I did something even more stupid. Karim Platinum here is the only driver all day that did something that affected my race negatively and actually waited. So a huge thank you to Karim for demonstrating what sportsmanship actually is. And demonstrating that I abide to my own principles here. When I'm the one that gets it wrong, I wait. I ruined Valet's race here, absolutely, that's my fault. I misjudged it, so I waited. Now to be fair, if it's a 50-50 and I'm not 100% sure that it was my fault, then I won't wait, but I'll check the replay and I'll message them afterwards and say I checked the replay, that was my fault. And to top it all off, the last clip here wasn't actually any bad or dirty driving. This was just a genuine racing incident, but it really summed up how my day went. 4-second penalty for hitting a ghosted car. Somehow, after all of that, during all of that, I actually managed to find one decent race. It's a very sad fact to say, but there was really only one race worth featuring for the entire day, and that's quite sad because normally there's a handful of races and I have to pick the one that I think is going to be the best video. Thankfully, this was a decent race. As you can probably tell, I don't have a lot of love for this place. If the race was Group 3 and we didn't have custom slip, we actually had a modicum of dirty air, I think I'd be okay with it. Because then the only bone of contention would be the death chicane, which I think is a bit of a meme. It doesn't feel like a serious racetrack, this. It feels like an arcade style racetrack because of that death chicane. But then add in Group 4, custom slip, super close racing, just doesn't work here for me. So if I do any more of these races, it will be on the account that I'm just ranking up now, my new account, and it will be from the back, and I'll finish where I finish. The priority will be survival. You may have noticed I do that thing in my videos a lot where I flick the view to third person camera for a moment. Probably self-explanatory, but just in case, the reason why I do that is heading into a complex sequence of turns or a hairpin or something like that. Because I use bumper cam, just flicking it into chase camera for a moment lets me get a better view of what's going on in front of me, and it's also quite useful for looking at what's behind you as well. You can just see the lay of the land a little bit better, so that's a useful trick if you're not already aware of doing that. It was at the hairpin turn that I realised that Fusa must already be on the medium tyre, because he went past Pepper and Digit quite easily there. I get a tap from behind going through the death chicane, which is what puts me in the wall there, which is what in turn causes Dames to hit me again on the exit of the chicane, but that's just a genuine mistake. So it's just why I don't like racing at this track. It just feels like a meme track, honestly, for me. Managed to catch up with them, but I think only because Manu Rodri had an issue at the chicane as well. I know Gran Turismo is not the most realistic sim, and I'll be the first person to say it doesn't need to be, but this chicane for me just errs on the side of being too unrealistic to take seriously. It's just guaranteed chaos every single race, even in these much slower Group 4 cars that we've got now, and even with the best drivers in the world, and to me that's just not racing. Speaking of which, it always feels to me like there's an element of luck involved here. Even if the driving standards are clean, even if you don't make any mistakes, you still need an element of luck to survive other people's mistakes, which is exactly what happens at the chicane the second time around. I did want to pit at the end of lap 2, but you can see here that I went to turn into the pits and then had to abort because I realised I was going to get myself a 3-second penalty. It's very easy to misjudge that pit entry. And also it's not uncommon that someone will send up inside you because they see you going slow because you're trying to get into the pits, and they see that as an opportunity to overtake you, which is exactly what we saw in the intro. I realise at this point I sound like someone who's just got nothing to do but complain about this track. That's probably not unexpected, considering the day that I've had here. But I know this is quite a popular track. I know a lot of you guys out there do like it, so let me know in the comments if you do like it or why you like it. I think I'm not looking for a debate, I'm just genuinely curious. I like the corners. The general layout, the general idea of the track, I like it. I would just tweak a few things. I would have some realistic track limits on the curbs. I would change the death chicane to make it a bit more consistent, and I would tweak the pit entry so that you could enter that without someone trying to take advantage of you pitting. Lap 3 and I finally managed to get myself in the pits, and even though Digit and the Spanish driver in front pitted on the same lap, I already know at this point I'm pretty much fighting for third place at best, because this place, if you look at the track map, it is basically 3 long straights. They're not exactly straights, but they're 3 long flat out power zones in a triangle. So as much as it doesn't look like it, this is a slipstreaming track. Maybe not as much as somewhere like Daytona, but definitely as much as somewhere like Red Bull Ring is. So I knew I'd lost the slipstream to Digit and the Spanish driver, and they're working together, so there's no chance of me catching them. So when Monster came out in front of me, he had obviously pitted on lap 1 and had got a 2-lap undercut on me. I was actually kind of grateful, because I thought, well, if I can catch up to Monster, maybe I can use his slipstream and maybe he can catch up to Digit and our Spanish friend. However, I failed in my part of that plan. Basically, I was quite rattled at this point. I was not in a good mood, having a bad day. We've all done it, we've all had these days, right? And I just wasn't at my best pace. I was definitely a few tenths off of what I was capable of. So where Monster actually did succeed in getting into the toe of Digit and the Spanish driver, I failed in getting into the toe of Monster. Sometimes a little anger can really focus you, but too much frustration can actually wreck your pace. It does the complete opposite. I see it all the time, actually. It's something you can take advantage of in lower ranked lobbies. When you see someone is driving frustrated, just wait, because they're going to make a massive mistake. I did, in time, manage to recompose myself and start putting in some much better laps and close up to Monster a bit. Where he had pitted on lap 1, his tyres were worse. I thought really pitting on lap 1, the Citroen doesn't really feel like it even loses any pace. So I was surprised to see Monster's pace drop off a bit. But nevertheless, we did catch up to him. It was just a bit too late to take advantage of the fact that he had originally himself caught up enough anyway to Digit and the Spanish driver. And had I been there with them, then when Monster's pace started to drop off, I might have been able to get past him and stay in touch with Digit. And really, to have that kind of pace, I would have needed to be in a better mood. Simple as that. At this point, I was only still racing in the hope that I would eventually find a race that I could make a feature video out of. I also learned that I should have stopped after this one, because this was good enough, but this race gave me hope that the standard of driving might pick up after this race, so I carried on. And it didn't. You know, they say do something you love for work and you'll never work a day in your life. I'm not exactly sure that's true, because take something that you love, turn it into a job, and it still comes with pressures and stress just like any other job. Things you have to achieve after a certain time frame, things you have to achieve in the first place. Don't get me wrong, I do very much enjoy what I do. I enjoy the racing, I very much enjoy the one-on-one coaching, and I have grown to actually really like content creation. I find it to be a very good creative outlet. However, it's still a job, and like any job, you're going to have your good days and your bad days with it. Except for me, my bad days are on display for everyone to see, and that adds another element of pressure and anxiety to the whole thing. By lap 9, we'd caught up to Monster after demonstrating some much improved pace, but it was clear that his tyres were now going. He was visibly slower, where earlier on he had really good pace. And that's Breyer, World Tour driver, right behind me in P5, and he is definitely faster than me, so therefore I had to now get past Monster at the first opportunity in order to try and hold off Breyer for the remaining 2 laps. Monster was clearly thinking very intelligently here, because a lot of people would defend that position, but what I'm pretty sure was thinking is to use my slipstream to try and hold off Breyer himself. Which is smart thinking, that's exactly what I would have done. Jumping forwards 1 lap though, and Breyer is doing that World Tour driver thing, unfortunately. So I think Monster does his best to defend this. He takes the inside line, which tells me that he was defending it. If he was giving the place to Breyer, I think he would have given Breyer the inside. But Breyer's too good, and fresher tyres as well, I believe, too. And so now it's just down to me to try and defend the position. I know there's really only 2 places Breyer's going to be able to go for the move. One is into the hairpin at the bottom, and the second is into the final corner. So rule 101 of defending is take the inside, make the other guy go round the outside. I'm pretty confident that he's not going to be able to go round the outside of the hairpin. It's too tight. Too much of a radius to it. The guy on the inside is always going to have a massive advantage there in terms of getting round the corner quicker. The only way you're going round the outside here is if you're already significantly overlapped, even a nose in front at the time of heading into the corner. So you can see there, by being on the inside, we defend that one nicely. Now what I really needed was a perfect chicane, but I didn't get it. I just wasn't quite sure that I had the line perfect, so there is a very subtle safety lift in there. And that was enough to enable Breyer to get alongside me. I moved to the inside immediately, and I actually think he got the position. I mean, he did. He's actually clean in front at this point, and I wouldn't have minded if he squeezed me a little bit more. I actually think he gave me too much room and showed me a little bit too much respect there. I think he could have fought harder for it. But if anything, that's a demonstration of what happens when you are known for racing clean. I get the game's biggest names and fastest drivers racing me clean no problem, where other people haven't. Thank you very much, guys, for watching as always, and if you're willing to risk it, get out of here and go race.